The Western Native Trout Initiative, commonly referred to as Winty, is one of 20 nationally recognized fish habitat partnerships under the umbrella of the National Fish Habitat Partnership Program. I'm Therese Thompson, the coordinator for Winty, and I'm going to highlight some of our partnership's activities and accomplishments to date. With few exceptions, native trout populations have declined across the West, usually due to two general factors: habitat alteration and introduced non-native fish. Remaining native trout populations are often isolated from one another and exposed to increased predation, competition, and hybridization. Continued human population growth, coupled with potential habitat damage from a warming climate, has increased the urgency of securing and improving the status of Western native trout. Winty was created in 2006 as an initiative under the Western Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies. In 2007, Winty became one of the first fish habitat partnerships recognized by the National Fish Habitat Partnership Program. Winty works across 12 Western states as a catalyst for collaborative management to conserve habitat for 21 species of Western native trout and char, with habitat covering over 1.75 million square miles of public and privately managed lands. The 21 native trout and char addressed by Winty have long been considered as biologically, recreationally, and culturally important. While local conservation actions have occurred, overall range-wide recovery and coordinated management of Western native trout and char generally have been addressed in a fragmented approach. Winty provides a forum for partners to coordinate and invest their collective assets and capacity toward completing the highest priority native trout conservation efforts across the West. Proposed and led by local communities and resource agencies, these projects are funded and supported through Winty's grant programs and in-kind contributions from our partners. Winty's steering committee consists of members representing 12 Western State Fish and Wildlife Agencies, Trout Unlimited, BLM, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and the U.S. Forest Service. So what does Winty do? We provide a forum for partners to coordinate and invest their collective assets and capacity toward completing the highest priority native trout conservation efforts across the West. We support partners with funding to implement on-the-ground projects and science assessments where there's a knowledge gap. We also do quite a bit of outreach and education through our campaign for Western native trout and through a new program relaunched in 2019 called the Western Native Trout Challenge. Let me expand upon these just briefly through some examples. Winty's approach and strategy to fund on-the-ground conservation projects, which is one of the primary goals of the partnership, is to leverage funding provided to Winty by the National Fish Habitat Partnership Program or other funding sources and match these funds with partner dollars to fund projects to improve the status of Western native trout populations in all 12 Western states, including Alaska. Between 2006 and 2019, Winty has directed over $5.5 million in federal fish habitat funds, leveraged with over $38 million in private and public matching dollars for 187 priority native trout conservation projects. Over 350 partners to date have implemented projects on the ground. We've removed 116 barriers to fish passage and connected, restored, or improved almost 1,400 stream miles, while helping to place 38 barriers to conserve and protect priority populations and 672 miles of habitat for these core populations above barriers. We have also helped fund 744 watersheds or population surveys and assessments. Winty has a project map on our website. The big blobs of color on the map represent the individual species ranges, while the small dots represent a project, and you can click on the small dots and read more information about each project. Winty's support of science and assessment has included the creation of a species status report for all 21 focal species. Winty also catalyzed and helped fund the first range-wide assessments for West Slope cutthroat trout, interior redband trout, and coastal cutthroat trout. We also fund genetic, habitat, and population assessments where there are knowledge gaps to inform conservation strategies and management decisions. Winty has organized and sponsored 3 American Fisheries Society symposia since 2015 and helps to organize the film festivals with the other fish habitat partnerships that are becoming an AFS annual tradition. Winty also co-sponsored a coastal cutthroat symposium in 2018. My last few slides will give you a very high-level look at Winty's outreach efforts, what we collectively call our campaign for Western native trout. The Winty website was designed to be a one-stop shop for information on Winty's 21 focal species, conservation status, management activities by all of our partnering agencies and organizations, as well as information on on-the-ground projects and outreach materials. Winty actively uses social media to do outreach. We have an active Facebook feed, almost 13,000 followers on Instagram, and a curated YouTube channel where we host and share short videos about native trout produced by Winty and our partners. We have a beautiful Esri story map called For the Fish, For Us All that I encourage you to view, as it tells the stories of 5 Winty species and stories of settlement of the West and ongoing challenges and successes. Winty has had a successful collaboration with Rep Your Water since 2017 that I will share more on shortly, and I also wanted to show you our Get to Know Your Native Trout poster series. Rep Your Water and Winty collaborated to create a line of hats in 2017 with an updated line launched in 2020. We have sold almost 8,000 hats to date, and Winty receives a portion of retail and wholesale sales. We started a hashtag on social media, Match the Hat, where anglers tag photos of themselves wearing the hat and holding the species on the hat. It's been very popular and is a great way to outreach to anglers about these native trout species, while also providing us with wonderful photos to share. Using donations from the public, Winty has funded a series of Get to Know Your Native Trout posters, 5 to date, with a poster for Bonneville cutthroat almost completed, and a poster for coastal cutthroat underway. The posters for Rio Grande cutthroat, Gila trout, and greenback cutthroat have been made into trailhead signs at locations within national forests where anglers can find these species. My last slides showcase a 12-state Western Native Trout Challenge program that Winty and our partners launched in 2019. The program is a lifetime bucket list type of program where anglers have to catch each of 21 species in its native or historic range. We provide maps and other information about how to fish for each species and links to agency regulations and license information. The central tenet is to educate anglers about these species and get anglers excited about traveling around the West to catch them. We have over 640 individuals registered, and over 77 anglers have completed 1 or more levels of the program so far. Orvis has partnered with us and provides a free fly rod to each first male, female, and youth to complete each level, and writes a blog post about their adventures. We are starting to receive wonderful photos of husbands and wives, parents and children, groups of friends, and others wearing their challenge hats or holding or displaying their challenge certificates and medallions. Winty and our state partners will continue to market the program in 2021 and look forward to its continued growth in the future as a way to introduce anglers to our Western native trout and to gain an understanding of the challenges and opportunities for their conservation. Thank you for your interest in the Western Native Trout Initiative. I hope you've enjoyed this brief overview of some of our activities and accomplishments over the years. As you can see, the on-the-ground habitat restoration, science and assessment work, and our outreach efforts make Winty a valuable part of efforts to conserve native trout and char across the West. Please visit our website for more in-depth information and sign up to receive our quarterly newsletter. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or reach out to me at any time.